The John Deloney Show is a self-described, color-driven show that gives you real talk on relationships and mental health challenges. The entire vibe of the radio show is Dr. John Deloney sitting at his desk, taking calls from people who want to talk about, it seems, anything, and then giving his thoughts, opinions, commentary on their situation. He ends up on my recommended a lot, but I've yet to click on him. And the reason we're doing so today is because I have a section in my Discord dedicated to video ideas, things that you all would like me to talk about. And recently somebody sent me his video. My daughter hasn't spoken to me in over a year, saying they didn't really agree with some of the things that he had to say. And even though I haven't talked about estranged parents a lot on this channel recently, it is kind of how we started a year ago. So I'm happy to talk about it again. Now, according to Wikipedia, Dr. Deloney has 2 PhDs from Texas Tech in counselor education and supervision and higher education administration. Not entirely sure what that has to do with giving advice to people on mental health. However, I am old enough to understand that you don't have to have a degree in what it is that you do. I think you could be really good at what you do without having a degree in it. And I think the opposite is also true, as we've seen with a lot of these estranged parents who have some sort of mental health counseling certificate. So I'm not immediately dismissing anything he has to say. Like, I'm really only good at math, but here we are talking about estranged parents. Before we jump in, subscribe if you haven't, like the video if you haven't, join the Discord if you would also like to recommend videos, follow me on Twitter. I keep saying that. I don't know why. I've just been tweeting about Pokemon. I finally got the Shiny Charmander ZA and I've just been going feral. Look at that. That's technically a whole box of shinies if you include the 3 that are in my party. It says he works with Dave Ramsey pretty often and that he's a co-host of the Ramsey Show. So take that as you will. Again, I don't know too much about this man and I'm not gonna judge him entirely based on the things he says in this one video, unless he says something completely wild.
I'm calling you about my daughter.
Okay.
She's 30. We also have 3 sons who are, I don't know, between 35 and 45. So we're old enough to retire, but we're not yet because we're just having too much fun working. We homeschooled our kids. We raised them in the church. They went to public university. Probably when she was about 22, 3, 4, in that she started just being too busy to talk. Couldn't talk. She does not communicate except by text. Can't call either of our younger 2 kids on the phone. That's just not right. It got further and further away. And then last fall, she broke up with us with a text. She sent us a text saying she wanted to go no contact, that she didn't want to discuss why.
He's doing a much better job of letting her talk than I probably would. I'm someone who, for some reason, needs to respond to every point with these people specifically. So what we have so far is she's raised these children who are now fully grown adults, right? Like at 30, 40, whatever. We're not going to be like, they're figuring themselves out. These are fully grown adults. They can't call their younger too. And it's hard to say in this generation whether that's an anxiety thing. I personally don't want to be called. I don't. Text me. But also on the side of, most of us here have to deal with these people. Most of us have to deal with the estranged parents. There is that little bit of, I wonder if they like being texted so that there is a trail, a receipt. Mom, you said this, remember? I didn't say that. Doesn't sound like me. Screenshot. Here it is. You texted it to me. Instead of having to deal with them over the phone and then being gaslit later. I'm villainizing her early. I understand that. It is mostly from the way that I was sent this video and what I was told, more so than just waiting to hear what happens. Also, we've seen so many of these that it's really hard to just accept that things happen the way that these parents tend to say they happen. Oh, it came out of nowhere. Damn. Didn't see it coming. In the text, it just said, no more talking. Didn't say anything, but it's like a 4 or 5 page text.
And she would let us know when she was ready to talk to us again. So I'm kind of just stuck out here going, well, what's next for me?
So let's acknowledge that regardless of what went on, what's going on, what's up, what's down, that's just hard.
It is hard. It is very hard. I've said this a million times. It is hard for both the estranged child and the estranged parent, regardless of who is or isn't right in that situation. It's hard. People do a good job of not realizing if they're wrong, and more so just want to be understood, whether or not they are the people who are right in their situation. And so for them, it sucks. It hurts. And you can acknowledge that without necessarily telling someone that they're right. To be an estranged parent sucks. To be an estranged child sucks. And I think sometimes, especially when I get a bunch of estranged parents in my comments going, well, I hate them now. They're not getting their inheritance. That's all they ever wanted me for anyway. It's sometimes hard to be able to look at them and go, you're right in your pain. Because I don't want to coddle a bunch of adults who should have just been better parents. And that is, of course, not towards everyone. I don't know what the percentage is, but there are going to be enough people who are estranged parents who are not the people who are at fault. That's just how anything goes. It's like when women say all men are awful. It would be a massive red flag if I sat here and got my feelings hurt about it.
Yeah.
I can't think of a like I'm again, my kids aren't 30, but I can't think of a worse situation.
Well, you know, and I grew up in a world where, of course, I wanted to cut my parents off. Sometimes they were really stupid.
Yeah.
But I would never, ever.
It took us less than a minute and a half for her to immediately go, in the same way that plenty of them have, I would never do that. Yeah, my parents did to me what I did to you, but I would never cut them off, so you shouldn't. And we have gotten that in so many different ways on this channel. The point of having a next generation is for them to have a better life than you did, even if you had the best life possible. In some way, you want them to have a better life than you did. You want them to be more financially secure. You want them to have more food security. You want them to live in a country that isn't trying to persecute them for who they are. You want them to be safe. And sometimes that means from you. And your inability to understand that is not anyone else's fault. I would never do that is not a good argument. There are plenty of things that I would do that my parents wouldn't. For the sake of my own safety and the safety of, I'm not having kids, but if I did, we can use them as hypotheticals. If I had kids, they would not meet either of their grandparents. One of them, impossible to find. The other one would probably treat them a lot better than she did to me. I don't want the possibility. I don't want them to be physically, verbally abused the way I was. And I'm sure that if I brought that up to my mother, one of the first things she'd say is, well, I would never keep your grandchildren away from you. Okay, I'm not the violent one. I'm not the problem. I'm a problem in so many other ways. Can't take anything serious. Make too many jokes. Other men don't like me for some reason. That one's weird. What is it about me? I've learned that I just need to assert dominance. So when I meet other men, I'm like, do you want to have a foot race? And everyone except Mati, I'm faster than. Fly on HC, if you're watching this, let me meet Poppy.
You just don't.
Yeah. Except they did.
Yep.
So anytime I have a challenge like this, I always go back to what my buddy Jordan Bunch taught me one time, which is anytime I have some sort of relational challenge, I always want to start in one place and one place only, the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you back out, the data says that you just told me you've got 4 kids, 3 of them refuse to speak to you.
No, 1.
What, no, but I mean, the other ones just text you?
2 will.
Yes, she said 2 text her because they refused to call, which is like step 1, not gonna lie. And then 1 doesn't talk to her at all.
Talk on the phone.
But I mean, the other ones just text you?
2 will talk on the phone.
Okay.
1 does text.
Okay.
But we're not in the same town.
Yep.
So there's that factor too.
So at some point it's like, okay, so I'm the common denominator here, and I raise these kids. If you're being fully honest with yourself, not trying to defend yourself, but being fully honest with you and your husband, what's the challenges that they're putting on the table? Why are they cutting off contact, or why are they limiting contact so much with you?
That is a lot more pushback than I expected. It's one thing. It is one thing. It is one thing, right? He's sitting there going, is it you? Did you think maybe that you were the problem? You are the common denominator. So is there something in the way that you speak, the things that you say, the ideas that you brought them up with? Is there something that you might have done? It's already so much more pushback than I've seen in any of these interviews. The problem, I think, goes all the way back to people don't generally think they're wrong. They just think they're misunderstood. So now you've asked the question, the parent's going to answer. How do you respond to their answer? Do you coddle them? Do you tell them that they're right? Or do you look for more holes in their stories?
I'm telling you, she won't say.
I know, but you've got an inkling, or your other siblings will pitch something out every once in a while, or they'll tell you why they only want to text, or why they're busy.
Yes.
All right, let me say it this way. You're too smart. I can already tell you're too smart to just be like, I don't know. Like, you have some inkling.
I've been watching a lot of body cam footage lately, and more so the detective ones where they're just like interviewing people and specifically interviewing cops who have been caught doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And I watched one the other day that I don't want to get too specific about because it happened in the county that I lived in when I was in college. And more specifically, they mentioned the street that I lived on, which was wild. But the person doing commentary for that video explained how the detective was, even though he had a lot of the answers already, he didn't want to make the cop feel like it was an interrogation. The detective wanted to make the cop feel like he was trying to understand him. Oh, there are plenty of bad people who do this, but you're not one of them, right? You just kind of got caught up in this, or you do it for a reason that isn't malicious. And so he's doing that where he's like, you are too smart to not have an answer here, instead of what's the answer and just digging in, which I think is definitely the right way to do that. He is making her feel comfortable in answering something she otherwise may not be. And so she might be willing to be more honest. It is too often that these parents have answers that they just don't agree with, and so they don't relay them. It is like the estranged mother Diane being given pages and pages and pages of why and blurring them all out and bringing it down to politics. We just disagree politically, instead of just showing the pages or relaying them to her audience.
I am trying to figure that out.
Okay.
That's part of what's going on here. The oldest two say, this is nuts. This is not right.
Okay.
The third one says, boggled.
I wonder if the oldest two say that, or she says that, and the oldest two like nod their head and they're just like, yeah, nope, all right, whatever. And she sees that confirmation as them saying it. I had an ex who did that often, and I didn't realize what it was until someone else pointed out. But it is weird to think about now, where she would make a comment, I would like nod my head at it, and she would look at someone else and say, he said this and I agree with it. And I'm like, I don't think that's how that happened.
And I have asked her, in fact, in her late teens, early 20s, she was in therapy. I was too, not because of each other. It was for separate issues, but because we were in a small town and it was convenient. We used the same therapist.
Not because of each other on your side, maybe. Definitely because of each other on her side.
He did a stupid therapist thing one day and started talking to me, dealing with something she was dealing with.
That's not a stupid therapist thing. That is a highly unethical, should be unlicensed and not be able to sit with people.
And I went blank and I just looked at him because I knew it was happening. And he said, oh my God, I just did it. And I shouldn't have. He acknowledged it and he went on. But he did tell me, again, unethical, there's two things you need to talk to your daughter about. You need to figure these two things out. And she and I talked about one. 4 times since then, and she was, like I said, maybe 20 at the most. 4 times I have said, can we talk about the other thing? But that I don't know what it is. And I've told her that. And she says, no, you don't know what it is. And she'll say, no, I'm not ready. And then Christmas a year ago, she said, I will never be ready to talk to you about that.
Whatever that is, if someone says, especially I think one of your kids, adult kids, I will never be ready to talk about something, I think you just have to let it go. You are not helping anyone by constantly asking about it. The therapist thing definitely should not have happened. Completely unethical. It's weird enough that the therapist is providing therapy for both of them.
So I suspect it's that, but I've racked my brains. She tells me I need to do some self-reflection. My best friend says I'm the queen of self-reflection. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm really trying to figure out.
Oh, queen of self-reflection is wild. Do you have a text? I wonder if the text from her daughter has any more information than just, I don't want to talk. And if they ask for it at all. We haven't really gotten to the part where she asks for final advice, kind of how, I guess, to talk to her daughter. Is that the point of this? My daughter has got no contact with me and I don't know why. How can I open up the lines of communication with her? But I think the right answer is something like, you have to let her know that you are available and that you're willing to listen without talking, and that whenever she's ready, she's more than welcome to start that conversation, or she can let you know to start the conversation. And that's it. Other than that, you're just going to bother her. Very not specific so far.
When I go to the boards or when I go to websites and I go try to find out more about this phenomenon, the consensus is, you're just not acknowledging. And I'm being honest. I want to acknowledge. I don't know.
Well, okay, so let's just flip the data around, because I misheard you at the beginning. If you have 4 kids and 3 of them talk to you somewhat regularly, y'all live in separate towns, so y'all aren't like buddy-buddy, but y'all talk, you text, you show up for holidays, and then you have one outlier.
Right.
Then what I would suggest is trying to figure out intellectually what's going on is futile. You don't know, because you've got somebody it sounds like the limited power she feels like she has is a thing you don't know. And you took care of
Absolutely.
her raising, you took care of her morals, you took care of her school. You wouldn't, and that can be flipped to you didn't let me be around real people. You didn't let me have my own ideas. You didn't let me have my own life. And then I got to out in the real world. And this is one of the challenges I think with that we have this whole homeschool movement now, and I don't have a problem with it. It's fine, but it's going to come at a cost. And I know that because I've worked with thousands of college students for 20 years. They are overwhelmed with the new ideas, new world, and you cannot you can send them to a college of your choice that just regurgitates what you taught them, which I think is a terrible idea. But then
Yeah.
they're gonna get to the real world where there's no filter anymore, right?
Right. And
But
I suspect there's some.
I think, and I could be wrong because I don't know the guy at all. I don't know how he is in other videos or episodes. It doesn't bother me the way that he speaks to these parents in this like coddly, oh no, you're smart type of way. If it is for the purpose of making them feel like they are in a safe place to let out what they know, right? Like you don't want to scare them into being like, I don't know. But I don't know where the line is between sitting them down in a place that allows them to speak what they think is true, and hopefully give more information than they're usually willing to, and coddling them. It is enough of an interrogation for me to not criticize, I think. But if at the end of the call he says something like, oh, you're right, screw her, you're not, your kid's just whack, then it's weird.
But that we
okay,
did try. We did try.
sure.
To
And it's not an indictment of you, but I'm saying like that can be flipped to from, dude, my parents really tried to shield me from all of this, and
well,
I
who
found
doesn't try
myself
to shield their kids from some horrible thing?
Well, of course. But I'm just saying, like, it can be a 25-year-old can say, dude, my parents did the best they could with what they got, with what they had, and they tried to protect me from madness. And I wish they had given me some more skills, but here we are. Or they can completely demonize you. And any of the discomfort they have in their life, which all 25-year-olds have, you become an easy target.
See, at that point, you're just like making her feel good about herself. At that point, you're just like, you know what? Your child could have just appreciated what it is that you did for them, or they could just make you out to be the villain, or they could just completely demonize you. They can completely just not care about who it is that you are and what you did for them, which is like a little too far, I think. We don't know the kid. The kid could be completely rational. The other children could talk to her a lot less than she says. I doubt they agree with her in the way that she says they do. They probably just nod their head a lot. And if you're looking at this from a statistic kind of point of view, right? Where they're like, oh, 1 in 4 children have an estranged parent. You have 4 children, one with an estranged parent. That doesn't mean you were a great parent. That doesn't mean they were a bad child. That doesn't mean they're a great child and you're a bad parent. We don't know. And it's interesting to watch them be coddled when they're the adults in this situation.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Trying to figure this out intellectually is a waste of your time. Because I'm trusting you that you have actually looked in the mirror and tried to figure it out. And that there's
Okay.
not, I'm going to rattle a couple of things off. Okay. This is more for the audience than for you. But if you can honestly say you do not know of a weird uncle or a strange encounter with her dad, whether that's your husband or a stepdad or something, if you can honestly say, I don't know anything about that. Honestly say, I didn't invite somebody over who had a strange kid who put her in awkward positions. If you can honestly say, we walked through, I taught you about sex, I taught you about some of these harder, bigger issues. We had conversations. If you can honestly walk through and say, I don't know any of that stuff, those are those are often the big cutoff points. Like, mom and dad, you didn't protect me.
I listen to too much true crime. I really do. Because the amount of people that are in denial to protect their own feelings instead of to protect their children, way too many. Whatever it is, however low that number is, it is still too high. And so, and I'm not saying she is, I'm not saying this mom specifically is, but asking people to demonize themselves when they are alone in a room with you, pleading for your understanding and your agreement with their feelings is generally not something that's going to happen. Asking someone over and over again, did you do something wrong? Are you sure? Are you sure? Probably isn't going to change their answer when they themselves really don't think they did something wrong.
And then after that, who knows what adventure she's on. And I think you have to let yourself get out from behind your intellectual shield and just be really, really sad. I miss my baby girl.
Okay.
That's good advice. Sometimes all you can do is miss them. Miss them.
My husband's been encouraging me to do that for a while, and when she cut off last fall, he said, "There you go. there's nothing we can do. And
I will disagree
for
with
him,
him on one thing.
We also have this reoccurring theme, and this is just over the ones that we've gone through. We have this reoccurring theme where the husband, for some reason, is like, all right, they're gone. Let it go. We did our best. You know, like I talked to them once 12 years ago. They didn't like it. So whatever. Like somehow the mental toll of having an estranged child you may one day be able to reconcile with is just so much harder to deal with than pretending your kid is dead or something. Ted holding a funeral for his estranged daughter after like 10 months, whatever it was.
I'll disagree with him on one thing.
and that is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it.
Well, you could say it the wrong way and walk it back.
I could, yeah. So there.
Okay, you're telling me the woman who couldn't wait 15 seconds for him to come up with what it is that he wanted to say and instead cut him off twice, or like pressured him to just say something, does a good job of listening to her children who are in an opposite power dynamic of what him and her are right now. That might just be me reading way too deep into that and just sitting in my hater era.
So there's a fine line for me between well, I'll paint a big huge picture here. She's asked you not to call her or text her. She's asked for no contact. And I want to honor that.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
And I have been.
I'm thinking myself into circles here. So I'm gonna do what you said. I'm gonna speak this out, and then I may walk it back. Often, young people, and I'd say 30 and younger, maybe even older, trying to heal a broken relationship with a parent in their life or with an adult figure, will put down these big gauntlets. And some of it is very real, especially in abusive situations, especially when there is abuse, when there has been neglect, when there's been some catastrophic stuff. And in your situation, I'm trusting that is completely off the table. That didn't happen. So the next layer is, I want to see if you'll come get me. And so I'm imagining my kids right now, if one of them said, I'm going no contact, please don't call me, don't text me. I'm not coming don't invite me to Christmas or whatever. I hear that. And I might send you a letter once a week or once a month and just says, just so you know, I love you. And you're welcome home at any time.
I don't think we talk often enough about how, at some level, depending on the situation they're in, that it's just harassment, right? He's settling into her story where there was no abuse, and I'm going to do the same thing. But in plenty of other situations where there is abuse, imagine being assaulted in some way and getting a once a week letter from that person. That's terrifying. I will say, the I want to see if you will come get me thing is very weird in that I like to pretend that all of these estranged children are not immature and are just trying to do what they think is best. However, the come get me, the I'm gonna ask you for no contact and hope that you just show up, is completely immature in the same way that, like, I hate comparing these to relationships and I try to avoid it, but she started it. She started it at the beginning by calling it a breakup. My daughter broke up with us. If we break up and you expect me to show up at your house and beg for you back, that's weird. That is weird. We're not 12. So I'm assuming these children as a whole, and there will be outliers, but as a whole, I'm assuming that when they ask for space, they want space, however much it may be. If my mom showed up right now knocking at Lee's door, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I would walk off the balcony. I don't think I'm in any way exaggerating or joking. Don't do that. Oh no, Mom, I had to set a new boundary because you kept crossing my old ones. Oh no, don't cross this one. No one's doing that for fun.
And I can see even where that might be run into legal issues. If it would be considered harassment if somebody said, I've given you clear, do not contact me, not touch me. I mean, don't come after me. But there's going to come a moment when something happens in your kid's life and they open their eyes real wide and they want their mom and their dad. And they're going to think, I burned the bridge to the ground to get back home.
I have very often been in a situation in which I've thought, I wish I had a parent for this. Not in any of those situations have I said, I wish I had specifically my parents for this. I remember meeting someone at my old job in California. And this woman, older woman, was very sweet, was asking me way too many questions. Asked me about my parents. And I said, I don't really know them, haven't talked to them in a long time. And she was like, can I ask you about the first time you did certain things and how that was without parents? And I was like, sure. And we got into the conversation of the very first time I bought a car. And I told her how I had no idea what I was doing. I think my interest was too high. I didn't like the way that they talked to me. I'm surprised I didn't get in a physical fight with the car salesman. And it would have been made so much easier by having an adult, not a parent specifically, but an adult in my life to just go, this is what it is that you need to look out for. Try to get your interest rate at this. Like, this is something I did. Do you want me to come with you? And instead, it was just me sitting there alone being like, I need a car. $30,000, is that good? And I'm 18 and I'm stupid and my phone died. My phone was dead. My phone is straight dead, so I couldn't look anything up. And even if I could, I don't know that I would have. And there are just so many situations in my life that would have been so much simpler if I had an adult in my life or parents. However, not my parents. So yes, but no. I hope that they find someone in their life that is able to help them become the adults that they're supposed to be. I don't think it has to be your parents when your parents are not the adults that you would like to become. I don't want to be anything like either of mine. And there are plenty of things that I will gladly admit that being older and having gone through so many situations that I will not, that they understand way better than I do. But sometimes I'm happy not getting okay advice from the wrong people. I really am. Your life situations are unfortunately not so specific that you can't find it somewhere else.
And I want there to be a breadcrumb back to my house. And so I guess, I don't know. I've just sat with too many 25-year-olds who say I can't go home. And I want to tell them, I bet you can. So maybe that's it, Luann. If I knew as a parent I was physically abusive, I knew what I thought to be spanking was, I went over.
I have the problem where my sister has a relationship with my mother. And if I wanted to, I could, but I know that I don't want that one, you know? So I could find a way to have a relationship with my mother. I could technically go to whatever house she lives in, but it would be a terrible idea. So sometimes having the option to do something is just not enough. And we're getting way too overgeneralized for the conversation that they're supposed to be happening. I just don't see the positive in affirming someone who may not be willing to give you the entirety of a situation. We don't know. We won't know. And instead of affirming that they're right, I think the best thing to do is just to put them in a position to not harass anyone and to maybe just wait it out. I think you get one. I think you can tell them, take everything you want to say and put it into one message. That's all you're getting. And if they want to come back, they'll come back. And if they don't, they don't. And that message has to end with, I'm happy to have a conversation whenever you're ready, or I'm happy to be told to start a conversation whenever you're ready. My house will always be your home. Whenever you need it, let me know. And then you do your best as a parent. You don't have to be a millionaire. Contrary to some of my comments in these videos, nobody's asking you to buy them a house. At least I don't think so.
What I thought to be spanking was, I went overboard. If I knew that there was physical abuse, if I knew I dragged a kid to a church for 15 years and didn't know they were being molested by, like if there was some major catastrophic trauma.
I don't think this is the topic of conversation for this video, but we can talk about it another time. Where, again, people don't necessarily think that they're wrong. And so sometimes people are like, you abused me. And then they go, no, I spanked you. I disciplined you. There's a difference. And I think in 2025, we are generally understanding of not hitting our children, right? Whether that's spanking as discipline, which just doesn't work. It just makes your kids afraid of you. Or whatever these people will finally admit is physical abuse. Yeah, I punched you in the face, but I never ran you over with my car. So no, I didn't abuse you. Okay.
And they said I need to go no contact. I would actually honor that.
And I could understand that, yeah.
If there is a young person who is some sort of ideological temper tantrum, who's some sort of has created a story and they're just going on and on and on, you're 30, you're 25, I can't do anything about it. But I might send you a postcard. That postcards sound kind of cheesy. I might send you a letter. I want you to open it. And by the way, you can throw the letter away every week. You're a grown up. You can throw it away. You can put it in the shredder. You can send me a legal document or you can send me a text message. I continue to receive your letters. Do not send me another letter again. Okay, I would honor that.
Yeah, but that's just bugging people to constantly ask you to leave them alone. How many times, as a consensus, right? This is me asking a question. How many times should you have to be told to leave someone alone by them before going, oh, I should leave them alone? And it's hard because it's not just a normal relationship, right? Not a romantic one. Stop saying it's a breakup. That's at the parents. And I know that, like, my partner and I, Lee, if she broke up with me tomorrow out of nowhere and said, don't contact me again, I'm emailing her the next day. I'm assuming I'm blocked on everything else. But that's also like, that would actually be completely out of nowhere. If I like cheated on her or did something to cause a breakup and then she was like, do not talk to me ever again, it would be overstepping boundaries to then contact her. And you should not have to be told more than once to leave someone alone at that situation. So here, if the daughter feels like you've done something wrong, whether or not you agree, and she says, leave me alone, I think that one time, I think you get one letter. You get one letter to say everything you want to say, and then that's it. You just have to drop it. Because one letter is not enough to like show other people you're being harassed. A letter a week is.
My guess is in this situation, she wouldn't do that. What she might not want to respond to is the text message says, hi, how are you? Or thinking about you, because she might have come up with a story that you're manipulative. And that any sort of contact like that is manipulative. But there's something about a letter that somebody can open and they can hold and they can see it and they can go back to it and it begins to punch a hole in their story. Or she might show it.
I would love to be able to do that, but when she went contact, she moved.
Okay.
I have no idea where she is.
Okay. Or maybe you write a letter and you keep it in your house, and one day if you reconcile, you hand her the whole box.
Okay. I have been doing that.
Okay.
So there's this. If someone is willing to move and not give you, her dad, her siblings, people you have access to, their address, I feel like that says a lot. We're not in a situation where this person's being isolated by their partner, right? This person is moving away from you. And they're not willing to give people that are going to give you their address, her address. And so I feel like that just says enough for me to be like, we should just leave each other alone at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You hand her the whole box and say, I want you to know I didn't know how to get a hold of you, but I never stopped looking for you. And by the way, these days, it takes about 8 minutes to find somebody.
Maybe don't tell them that. Maybe don't tell them that. Maybe don't go, Google. You could pay to find someone's address. That's wild.
Okay.
I mean, through social media, through an old friend. I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard. So yeah, I mean, I would go for that. I'd go after it, and I don't know. It's hard. I'm heartbroken for you. And I would probably try to reach out to my older kids one more time.
We talk most weeks.
Yeah.
So
And they honestly can look at you and say, Mom, we have no idea.
they have.
Has she cut them off too?
I don't think so.
Then maybe it's not a mom, we have no idea. Maybe it's just a mom, you don't get it, or mom, we've told you and you don't listen. Mom, it's just not any of your business. Or they genuinely don't have an idea. All they know is, hey, there's something I don't want to talk about with anyone. And they're like, okay, cool. Still siblings.
I don't ask them. I don't think so. I don't ask them. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to get information from them.
I know, but Luann, they have to know.
Okay. I'll ask.
Don't you think?
I would think so, but I also don't. I could see her saying, she's trying to get information from you, huh? I worry that would.
But here's the thing. Yes, I miss my daughter.
That's another line that I just don't know where to place, right? Because it's one thing for her to ask about her and another to send messages through other people. And then we get into the flying monkey conversation. I think, is she doing okay? And has she told you all why she does not want to talk to me? Are probably fine questions. I think getting into let her know I said, or can you tell her this for me, is probably way too far.
I'll try to get information from everybody. And I would tell my older kids, hey, I'm putting you in an awkward position. If you know anything that I've done, that I missed, please help me. I'm drowning here.
Mm-hmm. I do feel like, though, that the culture, the atmosphere around this phenomenon is saying you don't have the right to miss your child.
All right, when we start calling it a culture and a phenomenon, I think she has probably consumed way too much online media that is coddling her and telling her she's right and the kids suck, right? Because that's what those words are. The only people calling it a phenomenon are the people who are like, whoa, this came out of nowhere. We would never do that to our parents. These stupid kids, these ungrateful, like, chill, chill, chill. We just have the internet now. It's not like a new thing. It's not a phenomenon. It is just life.
You don't have the right to miss your child.
Well, that's insanity and
They
it's
have
stupid.
made an adult's decision, and you're just going to have to accept it.
Well,
That's also not coming from the children. The children are not going to tell you that you don't have a right to miss them. It's the other estranged parents villainizing them for you.
make an adult decision and let my kid know I'm never going to, I'll storm the gates of hell to come get you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know too many people in their 40s and 50s that don't have a relationship with their 70 or 80-year-old parents, and it's killing them.
I also know way too many people who say things like, I'll storm the gates of hell for my children. I'll ride at the Capitol. I'll burn down cities, cross countries. I'll do whatever it is that I need to do for my kids. Except love them in the way that they want to be loved and take them to soccer practice and cook for them and take them to doctor's appointments that I also have to make myself. So speaking in hyperbole, does it help anyone? Every parent thinks they're the parent that would murder civilizations to keep their kids safe, but half of them aren't willing to get them vaccinated to keep them safe from diseases that should not exist. Diseases that I thought we eradicated. Diseases that you didn't die from because you're vaccinated, but now your kids might die from because you want to protect them from being safe, I guess. Or it's just too much work to have to take care of the children that you birthed.
That's what we did talk about that at one point in time. I said, I just feel like someday I'm going to be gone and you're going to think,
No,
oh my gosh.
that's the wrong way to say it.
Yeah, guilt trip your kids into it, I guess. No matter what I've done or failed to do as a parent, I'm going to die one day and you're going to feel bad. So maybe don't cut me off.
You trying to exert power over her. Don't do that.
Okay.
I want you to flip it around because that's you standing tall. I want you to actually take a seat on a park bench and put your face in your hands and sob because my daughter doesn't want to come home. Not making it like one day you're going to miss me. No.
I genuinely didn't see it that way.
I know. But like this, yes, you're correct. One day she's going to wish she had talked to her mom. I think you're right. But that's not the way to come at her.
Okay.
It's to say, I miss my baby girl. And clearly I've done something. I've said something. I was away and I don't know what it is. I've tried. I've asked everybody I know. I've called everyone I know.
Show me this woman's Facebook history. Show me this woman's Facebook post history. I want to see something.
And I'll respect you. Just know that you can always come home. And that's what I would. There's talking to your other kids, her siblings, about. Well, do you know what's wrong with her? Why is she so mad at me? That's one way to go about it. The other way to go about it is, hey, I'm putting you in an awkward position. I can't sleep. I can't breathe. My stomach hurts all the time. It's like the 99 and 1 sheep. I just want to bring my baby home. I just wanted to tell her I love her. And I've done something and I don't know what it is. One is very much a power of like a position of power, and one is one of great humility. If any of y'all know anything, please tell me. I'm drowning over here.
I really want to believe, and again, I don't know this guy. So if you know him better than I do, please let me know in the comments. I really do want to believe that all of this, I'm going to call it coddling because I don't have a better word for it. All of this hand-holding and walking towards conversation is him trying to give Luann the space to talk and not him trying to affirm her feelings. It's not him going, oh, you're right. It's more so him going, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, tell me more. And so I think that's fine. It's always weird to me to see people coddle people, period. Let alone like fully grown adults who should know better. I'm also just not a coddler. Like in the way that I speak to people, I'm incredibly straightforward.
And do you get the difference in posture?
I do.
Okay. Do you ever wonder if you start really crying on this thing, if you'll ever be able to stop?
Oh, yeah.
I think you have to go there.
I have been.
Okay. You sound tough to me.
Well, there's a lot going on right now that's not this.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
That's fair.
But I have been there a half dozen times at least since this started.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get some hate on this call, and that's fine. the culture doesn't get a vote into my family's life, and the culture can be nonsensical and insane sometimes. And yes, adults have a full right to not contact their parents, to not talk to them, especially in abusive situations. No question about it. And I'll support you to
And
the
I
ends of
wouldn't
the earth.
argue with that at all.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that's absolutely appropriate.
And adults have permission, have the right to. They're adults. They can just say, "I don't ever want to talk to you again. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. Whatever. We're done. Cool." You have a right to do that. And until you file a legal briefing on me, I'm going to send you a letter once a month letting you know I'm still thinking about you. There's still a hole in my heart because I miss my kid, and you can come home any time.
Lost me at the legal briefing, dog. I don't think, like, at that point you're stalking someone. People shouldn't need a restraining order to be left alone. I'll say it again. I think you get one. You get one letter. Say everything you want to say. From there, it is probably fully out of your control.
Anytime, and I'll meet you out in the parking lot. I'll come running to get you. I think we've got this weird impasse that's happened, and culturally, that if you're uncomfortable or you're not happy or somebody's not 100% in alignment with you, that means you got to end everything. My buddy Ian Simpkins said the other day, unity doesn't require uniformity. And I think that's right. So yeah, as for me and my house, my kids are going to know I'll come to the ends of the earth for you and beyond. And if that's culturally not cool, then so be it.
In what culture is it not cool to be like a involved parent? To be like a parent who's like, I love my children.
And so be it. And if I have things I have to apologize for, which God knows I do, I'll be the first to take a knee and apologize.
Most of these parents won't. And that's like been such a big problem between them, is that these parents are like, no, I'm right. You'll figure that out when you're older. And it'll be like the abuse conversation. I didn't abuse you. I disciplined you. Yes, I did it with my knee to your face a couple times, but I had stuff in my hands. Oh, the stuff in my hands was your hair? Yeah, see, I just don't remember it that way. I remember you coming home, me walking up to hug you like I did every day as a great mom, and you tripping and falling face first into my knee. Damn, that was just you bleeding everywhere, right? And I tried to take you to the hospital, and you said, no, mom, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to give you the burden of having to pay for an ambulance. And I said, wow, look at this amazing child I raised. Bleeding out, broken nose, just thinking of her great mom.
But that doesn't give parents the right to not be pretty critical, not look in the mirror and really be honest about what you might have brought to this situation. It's real easy for parents just to bomb their adult kids. And I think it's fair to do a lot of self-reflection when somebody that you love says, I don't want to be in a relationship with you.
I think a big problem with self-reflection is not really being able to tell what it is you're doing wrong or being able to teach yourself anything new. This entire thing was way too vague, I think. Like, we didn't get anything out of her. For all we know, she's right. For all we know, she's right. And through our own bias, we'll probably say she's wrong. And that's all that is. I don't know if every single one of the episodes is like this, or he's pretty vague and handholdy. I don't know if he's ever really like critical of these people or tries much harder to get real answers. At the same time, I don't know how hard he can try to get answers from someone who isn't willing to give them. Not to say that she isn't, but I don't think we got anything specific out of her, and I don't think we're going to. At the end, his advice was a little bit mixed. I don't think you should send a letter a week. I'm glad she doesn't have her address and doesn't have that option. I do think that you have one shot. You get to say your piece one time. And if your child leaves you, they leave you. And maybe that's for the best. For theirs or for yours. It is not easy to be an estranged parent, but it's just as hard, and I will argue every single time, harder to be an estranged child. I go back to Diane saying over and over again how hard it is for her to have to celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of these holidays with her family, but not her daughter. And I think often how hard it must be for her daughter to not get a family to celebrate with. Personally, I enjoy a third option, where I just don't celebrate holidays, really. We did Halloween stuff, but I'm going to enjoy the Thanksgivings and the Christmases that I get for the next little while. Maybe just this year, that I don't have to spend with Lee's family. Sometimes I just want to be alone and watch football. I'm going to call it there. Thank you all for spending time with me. This is my favorite thing to do. You're my favorite people to do it with. Again, in the Discord, there's a section where you can recommend videos for us to go over. Sometimes it takes me 6 months. There's no real right way to be an estranged child or an estranged parent, but there is a wrong way. And that wrong way is to harass the other side. Sometimes all you can do is let go. That's not advice. I think a lot of you want to hear. But on a personal level, and I think a lot of people have agreed with me over the year that I've been doing this, a lot of us want to be left alone, genuinely want to be left alone. I'm so good. I'm so good. I have my own life to live. I have my own things going on. I have a dog to miss, but I'm calling it there. All right. Say goodbye to the candy corn. I'm putting it away at some point, and now we just sit here awkwardly for 20 seconds. I stopped doing this at some point. Does anyone want a sticker of my girlfriend in a hot dog costume? I wore the hot dog costume on her stream to play Just Dance last week on Friday. I didn't realize I breathed that weird. Okay, goodbye.